Right then, you horrible lot, now listen here. There's a new FAQ dropped.
I don't know why I'm doing that. Anyway, hi, my name's Dan. I like talking about Warhammer. Not today actually, yesterday a big FAQ dropped. I would have done a video at the time, but I've got a horrendous mouth ulcer on the side of my tongue, which makes it sound like I've already had a few pints. And I had rugby training, so yeah. Anyway, let's go through this thing. So basically, if you've never read one of these before, essentially the blue stuff means that they've updated the old one, and the pink is entirely new. Actually, what I'll do as well is I'll get the it's a rule book errata, isn't it? Right, so yeah, there's updates for Forces of Fantasy and for the Old World FAQ and errata version 1.1.1.2. So they've updated. So they've added this text about fly, which basically means that models that fly can choose to fly or not to fly. And if they use their fly move, then they use the move in the brackets. And if they use the normal move characteristic, they use the move characteristic that's in there. Like, I already thought that was a thing, but whatever. The monster handlers rule, I'm a bit confused about, because the third sentence of the second paragraph actually is if the monster is removed, the handlers are too. So I don't know whether that means the handlers stick around after the monster dies. I don't know, but yeah, I'm not sure. Anyway, whatever. I mean, monster handlers. There are a few problems that they need to fix with monsters and monster handlers. Obviously, in that essentially, if a monster has stomp attacks, there is something on stomps later that I only skim read yesterday, so they might have fixed that. I'll reserve that for later. Reserve move, they've amended. Unless it charged, marched, or fled during the majority of models, charged, marched, or fled. Charged, marched, or fled in the turn in which the majority of models have this special rule, may make a reserve move at the end of the shooting phase after all shooting has been resolved. That looks to me exactly the same. What have they actually changed? Unless it charged, marched, or fled during the movement phase, a unit in which the majority of the models have this special rule may make a reserve move at the end of the shooting phase after all shooting has been resolved. Some idiots just coloured that blue, I think. Changed the first... Yeah, somebody's just coloured it blue and said, oh, we've updated that, and they haven't. Right. Whatever. General principles. This I've seen misplayed a lot, so I'm glad they've clarified it. Basically, if in the description of like a template spell or whatever, it says the thing will scatter, then it will scatter. So you scatter as usual, but you use the little arrow in the hit dice, which I don't have any handy, but the hit marker has a little arrow in it, so if it says it will scatter, it goes in that direction. It never stays still, and that's what they've said here. If some of my attacks calls now, this is an interesting take in that essentially now you have to apply the highest damage. So if something's got multiple wounds, like if you're hit with 3 attacks, for instance, one's multiple wounds, yeah, so if you get, so let's say you get hit by 4 attacks, right? One of them's got like, let's say you're a dragon, full health. One of them's got like Monster Slayer, and they've rolled a 6, right? So that removes all your wounds. So you take that first. Then something else has got multiple wounds D6 and you roll a 3. And something else has got multiple wounds 2. And something else has hit you and it's just done 1 wound, right? So, and let's say this was in a challenge. So what you'd do is you'd apply a Monster Slayer first and kill it. So that's done 6 wounds. Then you'd have the multiple wounds 3. Then you'd have the multiple wounds 2, because it's a challenge, remember, overkill plus 5. So you do insta-dead things first. Then you do multiple wounds damage. Then you do single wounds, okay? So who does that affect? That what that does is it means that, for instance, if you get hit by, so for instance, if you had like a I don't know, a 3 wound monster, right? Or a 3 wound troll or ogre or whatever, and you got hit with a multiple wound 3 attack and just a single wound attack, you can't now take the single wound first and then take the multiple wound 3 and put that damage on after, because under rules as written previously, you could do that to essentially negate a wound. It doesn't come up very often, but you know. So yeah, that's pretty cool. You've got to go route 1 to kill the thing in terms of damage, but then after that, you know. So that's good. What constitutes a move? If it's moved. If you touch a model and change its position in any way, it has moved. Apart from, I love this, apart from war machines that pivot, but blah, blah, blah. If it moves, it's moved. I don't, who's asking this? What's the furthest a model can move? No model can move more than twice its movement characteristic. Now, apart from marching column, where it's 3. So they have provided some exceptions, but basically, the one thing that they've said again is that you kind of you measure in terms of maximum move. You measure from the start point of the model to the end point. You don't like draw an imaginary path. You just go start to end, and that's like how you measure the maximum move. They've again, like, so when a charging unit wheels to align with the enemy, or when a unit pivots before fleeing, those don't count. Yeah, I don't think that's new. Free maneuvers don't count, but the limitation of no more than twice movement applies. So you couldn't use drilled to go from like very narrow to very wide and then move 6 inches. Like if you're a dwarf, for instance, you're in a narrow column and then you expand ranks by 2 either side. So you could hypothetically go from like a 2x6 to a 6x2 and then move 6 inches. Some of those would have moved more than the 6 inches, basically. So they're limiting dwarf movement, but I mean, whatever. Yeah, I mean, again, I didn't really think that needed clarifying, but you know, there we are. Can a wizard cast a conveyance when they charge? No. Like, obviously. I don't. Again, how many magic missiles or vortices? Vortices. You know, English. Damn it. Can a wizard attempt to cast during the shooting phase? As many as they know. Unless other restrictions apply. Again, I'm not. Maybe some people thought it was only 1. I don't know. 2 characters engaged in the challenge whilst the units battle around them. At the end of the round, the losing unit might fall back in good order or give ground if the enemy pursues or follows up, does the challenge continue? So the challenge does continue even after falling back in good order. One thing they haven't clarified up is whether pursuing after a unit that's falling back in good order essentially counts as a new charge. So does it count as a continuing combat for the purposes of like the rules around lances, for instance? You know, I think everybody's accepted that it's like a new combat. And like, do you get impact hits again? You know, for instance. If a model has impact hits, do all parts of the model cause impact hits? If a model with split profile. So like, if you have a Chaos Lord on a chariot, does the Chaos Lord get D6 plus 1 impact hits? So do you get 2d6 plus 2? Is basically the question. Of course not. That's ridiculous. Go away. If a unit with impact hits overruns or pursues with an enemy unit, it counts as having charged, and if it moves far enough, will be able to make impact hits. If that unit is charged in its flank or rear, can it direct its impact hits against the charging enemy units? No, a model can only direct an impact hit against an enemy it's moved into base contact with. This remains the case even if a challenge arises. So they are saying that you do get impact hits again if you follow up. If you pursue if it pursues into contact with an enemy unit, it counts as having charged. Yeah, so I think pursuit after falling back in good order, they're counting as basically a fresh combat aside from for the purposes of challenges. That seems to be the way that the game's going, which is fine. It makes lances even better, so it makes knights even better. Which is, you know, I mean, the game's a bit skewed in favour of cavalry at the moment anyway, so I don't think they need much help. But anyway, they get some. Can the models in the rear ranks of a unit shoot at a large target? Yeah. A model can draw a line of sight to a large target over or through other models. I mean, this is another rule that I think people have overlooked a little bit. I mean, this was always, I thought, pretty clear. Like people, you know, you don't get +1 to hit a large target, but everybody can shoot it. So, you know, making your characters large targets is pretty bad in general. Like, for instance, the Slan, you know, you know, yeah, because Slan are really bad because they are large targets. They're level 4 wizards. They're not amazingly tough. I mean, they're pretty tough for wizards, and they've got a decent amount of wounds, but large target means that you can get them from anywhere, so it's a bit rubbish. Units with motley crew use the armor value of majority models. What if there's an even number of different armor values? Just briefly, you round half up. So, you know, I mean, they've clarified that here. Use the better one. So if you got your orc, black orcs, with like, you know, full plate and shield. If you got half the models with shield, then you still get a 3-up save in shooting. So that's good. Is the armor value for a regen save improved by a shield or barding? No, of course not. However, the one thing that they cocked up with lexicographically is, in terms of like the words, is they gave regen and ward saves an armor value. If they'd have given it a regen value or a ward value, that would have been better. Using different language is better for different concepts. So they gave a ward save has an armor value of, you know, whatever. It doesn't have a warding value of whatever. So it's a language thing. So this is a blue one. So let's have a look at last time. If a model with regen passes its regen save, do I still need to roll the dice? Yes, because they count for combat results. If the model has only a single wound, there is no need. I think it's this last sentence. If the model has a single wound, there's no need. Sorry, I'll zoom in. People keep whinging about, not whinging, rightly complaining about the fact they can't see this on a phone screen. If the model has only a single wound, there is no need. What's this on page 7? So presumably it'll be on page, what, 4, 5, 6, something like that. Yes. So they've cleared that up. So actually, this is good for stuff with regen. So it's good for undead. So because at the top of the meta, they need all the help they can get, obviously. But yeah, so basically, if you hit a skeleton with a damage 3 attack and they pass their regen save, it only counts as doing 1 damage. I thought it was quite thematic, allowing you to do like, because if you think about it, a giant comes in and just absolutely smashes a skeleton, warrior to oblivion. That might have a shattering effect on the coherency of the thing, but whatever. If a model has stomp, do all parts, so it's the same as impact hits, basically. Stomp are made by mount, not by rider. In case of chariot, stomp attacks are made by the beast that draw it, or if there are no beasts, by the chariot itself. They've not cleared up what happens with monsters, so for instance, and handlers. So technically, rules that apply to the unit apply to the unit, and so if you look at, for instance, a Charybdis, which has D3 stomps, I think, because the Charybdis has D3 stomps, technically rules as written, so do both of the handlers, because that's not being clarified. I mean, I wouldn't play it like that because that's obviously bollocks, but technically. Do models that cause terror cause it in models that cause fear? They've said this in the rule book. It says it. Like, I don't know. Who's asking this question? Come on. Oh, how many references to terror? Why have you only found one? Pillock. Oh, no, it was there. Where does it say it? Models with a fear special rule, fear models that cause... Oh, no, it does say there. Models with a fear special rule, fear models that cause terror. A unit that does not... Okay, well, I mean... Come on. I mean, I think that's pretty clear, but... Whatever. So, yeah, okay, fine. Bad wording, but... yeah, I thought that was pretty clear. How do I determine the centre of a unit? This is slightly different. Essentially, the centre of a unit of skirmishers is you pick the model that's nearest the middle for like blast templates and stuff like that. So rather than trying to pick the middle of the unit and put the blast there, you just put the hole over the model that's closest to the middle, which is sensible. Now, this is massive, actually, skirmishers. So when a unit of skirmishers charges or is charged, if you can't form up the unit because the models can't move far enough to form up, they die. They just straight die. Yeah, that's which is pretty impactful. So let's just quickly have a look at... oh my god. Why is my computer so slow today? Where is it? Here we go. The range skirmishers move. 8th model. Let's come up, make base contact. So basically, unit of skirmishers gets charged or is charged, whatever. The unit forms up until it's got like a full rank. So as many base contact as possible. There's no additional fighting rank. Everything else fills in behind. No model in the charged unit can move further than its move characteristic. So not double the move characteristic, but move characteristic. So stuff like dwarf rangers, right, have got to be really careful now, because you know, if you've got a unit of, like, let's say 10 dwarf rangers that are skirmishing and somebody charges one flank, right, because you've only got a move of 3, you can probably only get 2 or 3 models in, and then the rest of the unit just dies. I think that's a bad rule. I think that doesn't make sense, because why would 70% of a unit run away just because it can't get into combat? Just doesn't feel right. I think they've messed that up a bit. But you know, whatever. So if anybody who does write rules might watch this, sort that out. I mean, skirmishers, I don't know why they can't just have more of a fighting rank. Because you've basically put the kibosh on rangers having, you know, going into skirmish formation. There's also a weird thing about skirmishing in that you don't actually have to skirmish them like this to get the -1 to hit. So, I mean, I've seen people rank up skirmishers like they would any other unit, like, you know, like rangers, for instance, and just say, oh, they're in skirmish formation. Like, it doesn't say I have to separate them. Which, you know, is I guess fair enough. But they don't look like they're skirmishing. They're just -1 to hit. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Cool. Characters. If a unit is subject to any leadership modifiers uses inspiring presence, do they ignore the modifiers? No, of course not. Like, I mean, okay, so somebody's saying, if I'm in combat with something that's terrifying, I'm -1 leadership, but like, if I'm using my general's leadership, I'm no longer terrified. I'd say, you know, the opposite is true too with like Warband, in that you add the unit's rank to the leadership, so you can use the general's leadership. So like Skaven, for instance, a lot of their characters are leadership 7, but with Warband and Horde, they can add 3 to their leadership. So most of the units in Skaven, when they've got decent ranks, are basically leadership 10, which is quite good, but Skaven are weak for other reasons. If a BSB refuses a challenge and retires, can other units benefit from reroll? That's a good question, actually. It's not clarified in the rules. I mean, the answer is no. You know, you can't, you know, if your BSB refuses a challenge, like, you've basically turned off your BSB, not just for that unit, but for everybody. Again, they didn't write that in the rules originally, so I think that's a good change. Well done, GW. If I have a character with armor of 6 mounted on a chariot with armor 4, am I obliged to use the chariot's armor value? No, of course you're not. There's sometimes why you'd want to do that, because, like, if you've got like the armor of, is it Meteoric Iron, which is the one that's 5 up and can't be modified, you know, and you're on a chariot that's got a 4-up save, but you're being hit with an AP2 thing, you're not obliged to use the 4-up and then roll 6s. So you choose what save to use. Does a presence in a unit of character whose base takes up the space of 2 or more models in 2 or more ranks reduce that unit's rank bonus? No, of course it doesn't. It doesn't say it does. It doesn't suggest. There's nothing that suggests it might. Can a character who's in fighting rank of the unit but not in base contact move through the ranks? So they are. This is interesting. I've been getting this wrong. So basically, if a character's in the fighting rank, they're stuck where they are in the fighting rank. Okay, so you can't move through the ranks within the fighting rank. I think that's a. I get what they're trying to do. They've also said a character can be placed amongst the unit's command group, though. So, I mean, because actually there's a rules conflict here, because if you're in a challenge, you're supposed to move the models so they're in base contact. So, if, for instance, I've got a unit of knights. Some bases. I've got a unit of knights that's got charged by this unit of skeletons that can only make it to here for whatever reason. My champion, for whatever reason, is over here. There's a challenge issued by their champion that's here, both in fighting rank, both not in base contact with any enemy. We're supposed to move them so they're in base contact. This says we're not allowed to. So what? Can we no longer challenge them? That's a stupid clarification. No, I don't agree with that, actually. I just think that's dumb, because obviously you want your guys to get into combat. You know, and yeah, I get what they're trying to do. Like, you know, once you're locked in and you're in a shield wall, you know, it's difficult to move through the shield wall. But you know, you can always step back and go. I guess, can characters leave the fighting rank? Oh no, actually, I am at the section almost, aren't I? Champions can't, but characters, and troop types, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. Lone character. So when you're in a thing, you're in a thing. That's lone characters and units, positioning characters, character that are placed in its front rank. The character base does not neatly fit, it goes to the side. Should a unit turn or reform, any character must be repositioned into the new front rank. So they're always in the front rank. So you can actually avoid. So they've allowed you to set up some play options here, where, so for instance, if you did have, you know, that unit of knights with, let's say, have I put them on the wrong base size? I might have put them on the wrong base size. That unit of knights with, like, you know, a sort of lord on demonic mount. If you charge such that you're over here, you know, then this guy only gets one attack, and his mount doesn't, and he can't move because of that. So that's a bit weird, but okay. Like, this I don't get, because well, I do, but it's just saying what the rule is. Like, you can't shoot an enemy lone character that's within 3 inches of a unit unless the character is closer. Like, having a unit here, I haven't got a lone character. Having a unit here and a lone character, like, hiding behind it, like there, for instance, or to the side of it. If you're over here shooting, you can't, you know, you can't. If you're in front, however, and closer, you can shoot. But what this is saying is, what about this? Because, you know, this unit's closer than this, so don't have to shoot the unit. I don't know who's asking that question, because that's not actually part of the current rule set. So that's always been the case. So I don't get it. I mean, I do, but I don't get why it's being asked. Is the armor value for ward save? Again, that's poor wording choice. If a wounds characteristic of a war machine that's crew are different, which do I use to determine unit strength? Use the wounds characteristic of the crew. It's interesting. That's a new thing. What about Hell Cannon? Not that it comes up because the Hell Cannon's absolutely dog shit, so, you know, nobody's ever going to take one, apart from for fun. But, do the points I spend on core within an allied contingent count towards the minimum percentage of core units overall? Good question, actually. Technically, that's not actually clarified. Rules as written, actually, the answer probably should be yes, but no is the answer, so good question. Does a spell cast on a regimental unit affect its detachments or vice versa? Spells affect the only unit which they're cast on. Actually, there is some ambiguity in the wording of the rules on that. I mean, I think this was always the intended outcome, but yeah. Does the spell Plague of Rust reduce the armor value of a ward or regen save? No. I mean, again, good question, because technically it does, because again, they've given ward and regen saves armor values rather than a warding value or a regeneration value, which is what they should have done, but they didn't. Do potions affect a model's mount? No. Again, actually, technically they did. Now they don't. So that's a good clarification, because that makes sense. How many spells does a wizard with an arcane familiar know? This is a good clarification. So arcane familiar allows you to pick spells from 2 laws. Now, it said you pick spells from a law equal to your current wizard's level, and they didn't sort of clear that up in the arcane familiar text. Now, it's a level 3 wizard has 3 spells, and if they can pick from 2 laws, they can have 2 from one and 1 from the other, or 3 from whatever. I mean, Arcane Familiar is good if you've got like 2 play styles for your army, and they both require a different spell law. So, you know, if you've got like, you know, you could have a Sorcerer Lord with like Battle Magic and Demonology as options going into a tournament, for instance. And so if you're like a Chaos army and you've got like a Brick of Chosen that you want to do the Seed of Shadows trick on, but that only really works against certain opponents. Against other opponents, you want to use the battle magic stuff. Actually, Arcane Familiar is quite good because it allows you to hedge your bets in terms of which law you get. But, yeah. And that's it. From the rule book, anyway. There's something about the forces of fantasy. Delete 2 heads from the end of the Imperial Griffin's list of special rules. Yeah, they left that on. Accidentally left that on. The Imperial Griffin. So you know, it's only the like Royal, whatever it's called. Let's have a look. Where is it? Empire. It's just before monsters, isn't it? Imperial Griffin. Yeah, an Imperial Griffin may have 2 heads. So Imperial Griffin. So you didn't actually have to pay the points to get the rule because it's already on the special rules list. So now you've actually got to pay for it. And 2 heads gets +1 attack, basically. With the serrated maw, which is not quite as good as the Wicked Claws. So don't know what, you know. I mean, do what you like. You can have it if you want. This is an errata for a book that's not out yet. So the Axe of Dargo. So we're actually having magic weapons for dwarves, maybe. The Axe of Dargo. Oh, isn't the Axe of Dargo thingies the Slayer bloke's Axe of Dargo? Isn't that his Axe of Dargo? It's a dwarf weapon. Is it? Yeah, it's Ungrim's axe. Yeah. So we do know that Ungrim's axe is going to be strength +2. I really want to see what it is in the book now. That's really interesting. They've FAQ'd a book that's not been released. Great. Can a royal champion in a unit put weapon rooms on their great hammer? No. Again, this is a useful clarification because actually, I mean, yeah, rules as written, you can't. They're just explaining why. Because a great hammer is not a great weapon. They're already quite special. When a model with basically Slayers, do they get to use Death Blow? When they use Death Blow, do they get to use the Slayer special rule? Of course they do. The Slayer special rule is basically if you're hitting a big thing, you wound on 4+. Or better. So, you know, Of course, that applies to Deathblow. Why wouldn't it? Can a steam tank fire grape shot? Of course it can, because it's a cannon. All cannons can fire grape shot. Any cannon fires grape shot. Anything. The grape shot rule is not a keyword under cannon. People think it is, and then they read the cannon rules, and then they go, "Oh no, it's not a keyword. It's just part of the rules for cannons." So of course, steam tanks can fire grape shot. Such that there's no reason you'd use the breath weapon thing from a steam tank, as far as I think. I think that's why the confusion with steam tanks, though, because they've already got like a close quarters thing. But why on earth they're not allowing us to use grape shot as a stand and shoot reaction, though? Don't know. This is a really nice clarification. Engineer Commander and Steam Cannon can both shoot during the same turn now. So, rules as written previously, they couldn't, although, obviously, why would you choose to use a Hochland long rifle when you got a cannon? Now, the engineer can shoot something, so that's good. Can a Wood Elf Realms army that includes an allied contingent place an additional wood using Woodland Ambush? Yes, however, allied contingent Wood Elves taken as part of another army cannot. So this is a dumb errata. So if you take an allied contingent of Wood Elves within Wood Elves, then you get to put 2 woods down. But if you take Wood Elves within other things, you don't get to put a wood down. Is basically what they're saying. The old good guys errata. They said this in addition. So they've deleted this second sentence. That's the change, which makes no difference. Well done. That's good. Well done. Okay. The thing is, and the reason I'm laughing, is that there's been a meeting, right? People have sat down and gone through this in a meeting, right? And they've decided, should we delete that second sentence? I don't know whether it adds anything. You can just imagine. Right, and then the final one is the bad guys errata. So this is where people are saying like, oh, night goblins have been nerfed, fanatics are nerfed, blah blah blah. They've not fixed the fundamental problem with night goblins, which is what happens in terms of victory points. So some people, and I 100% disagree with this, but some people say that if the fanatics are on the table, the unit's not destroyed. You only get 25% victory points because you've only killed 75% of it, whilst a single fanatic is still alive. To me, the fanatic was never part of the unit. It's an upgrade. They are never in the unit. It's just a thing that happens around the unit, but it's not the unit. So, yeah, I mean, whatever. So some people are saying, oh, this has massively nerfed them because, like, it's 1 per 10 instead of to a maximum of 3 instead of... No. But, like... Oh, hold on. Let me just... Where's the... Oh, I haven't opened it, that's why. Bad guys. Here we are. Sorry, I shouldn't make those annoying noises. There we go. Unit size is 10. So, you have to take 30 of them now to have 3 fanatics. But they cost 3 points each. So you can't take 10 archers and stick 3 fanatics in 10 archers. Right? I mean, okay. But that's not nerfed them. It just means you've got to take a full unit of goblins. And actually, night goblins are pretty good on their own because they've got netters, which basically means like most of the time they're effectively toughness 4, which for 3 points is great. They're not going to do anything like damage wise, but they are, they can be. They're pretty. You can have netters. You can have, and 20 points per unit. If you've actually got 30 of them, for instance, you've got 90 points, so it's worthwhile spending the extra on netters to make them, toughness 4 in combat most of the time. It's minus 1 strength, which is mathematically the same as plus 1 toughness, right? So that's sorry, I just need to clear my throat. Sorry about that. I've got a frog in my throat. Oh, it's still bloody there. But you see what I mean? Like, I don't think it's that much of a nerf because night goblins are pretty good. It just means that if you're going full fanatics and night goblins, you're gonna have to lean into it a bit more. But you know, whatever. I think that's a good change. Like thematically, I don't think they've nerfed fanatics. Fanatics are still freaking awesome. Right. When the fanatic goes through defensive stakes, does it die? I like the language here, though. What happens to a fanatic that moves into or through the front arc of a Brazilian peasant? Nothing good. Yeah, I mean, defensive stakes are a like linear terrain, so it just dies. Doom Diver Catapult, can I scatter it onto a hero? Yes, of course you can. That's what it says. Like, and it's and like they say, it's completely in character and thematic. That's the point. They are, you know, they are trying to snipe out heroes. That's what they're trying to do. That's why Doom Divers are so good. Are the effects of the Casket of Souls bound spell light of protection cumulative? No. So, if you have 2 of them, is everything -2 to hit? No, of course it isn't. Like, actually, does it even say that? I don't know. Should we just have a quick look? What is it? It's like a war machine, isn't it? Yeah. Against this model, any friendly unit. Yeah, actually, it does say it stacks. Actually, no, that's fine. So they've removed that. It now no longer stacks. That's not just some people being spawny and misreading it on purpose. It does actually say that it stacks. That explains why people would take. There's quite a lot of lists at tournaments where people, and that's sorry, I'll go back to Fanatics in a sec. But there's quite a lot of lists at tournaments where people have taken 2 caskets, and that's why, because the plus -2 to hit. In my head, I assumed it didn't stack, so that's me missing an exploit. But yeah, they've got rid of that. So you'll probably see a lot more single caskets. In fact, I suspect one of these and a casket is probably the war machine option that you want. That to sort of throw a big leadership debuff across the table, and the casket to do caskety things. I suspect, but anyway. If I take a Black Orc War Boss as a general nomadic war, can I take a unit of Boar Boys as a core choice? Let's just show. Oh god, I've got to wait for that piece of shit to load. I hate e-readers. I really need to stop whinging about it, and I can't even zoom in. So stupid. Right, nomadic war. That. Why doesn't that work? Why has it brought me here? That's not what I clicked on. Jesus Christ on a bike. Where is it? Where's the bloody nomadic war gone? It's before the troll horde. Yeah, I'm sure I went back. Oh, for God's sakes. Hate e-readers. Right. That was grunting this time. If your general is an orc boss, not to one boar boy mob may be taken as core. If your general is a black orc boss, like... actually, I've misread this. I thought that boar boy mobs were core. Okay, I'm going to have to rewrite my nomadic horde list. Anyway, can I? No, of course not, because a Black Orc war boss is not an Orc war boss. Rather obviously, you can take one Black Orc boss per Black Orc chariot. If I take a Black Orc boss mounted on a chariot, does that count? No, of course it doesn't. Can a troll hag be the general of an Orc and Goblin tribes army made using? No, it's a rare choice. It's not a character in a normal Orc and Goblin list. It is a character in a troll horde list. So that just clarifies that, although it didn't really need clarifying. And that's the FAQ and errata. So, you know, just in general, there's a bit of tidying up. They haven't sorted out the points thing around victory points on Fanatics. What else needs sorting out? There are a few other little rules discrepancies that are in the back of my mind that I can't think about at the moment. But I think they've done a relatively good job of tidying it up, though. Really, there's not, the rules are quite tight now. I mean, there's not a lot of wiggle room for interpretation, I don't think. I still do think they've buggered the lance formation a little bit, but yeah. Other than that, I think that's a good FAQ. They missed a couple of bits, which I've already mentioned and have now forgotten. But yeah, that's the FAQ. So thanks for watching. If you found it useful, do one of them, please. And if you want to hear me natter on in future, you know, you can press the subscribe button. That'll allow you to be made aware by the algorithm a bit more readily when videos become available. I normally sound a bit more eloquent, but I have, again, an ulcer on the side of my tongue. So there's always something wrong with me. My body's continually breaking down. It's because I'm nearly 40. It's I think once you get to like your probably early 30s, your body's like, we've reached our life expectancy. Like, are we going to die anytime soon? And the brain says, no, we're not. We're going to just suffer for the next 50 years. Anyway, thanks for watching on that terrible disappointment, and I'll see you around soon. Toodaloo.